Since Fred,
Yeah.
all of last season gave me a hard time for talking about the Lakers too much. This season's version of that, I'm going to flip it, Fred. I'm going to go out of my way to make sure we mention the defending champion Denver Nuggets at least once a pod because you talk about storylines that we ignore. The Nuggets are that. So, Slater, to hear you talk about Clay makes me think about Jamal Murray. And it'll be, I think, in terms of players to highlight and to watch this season. Jamal had an incredible playoff run. They win the whole damn thing. But, another year removed from his massive injury, same as Clay. It'll be fun. And I know age wise, two very different places. But it'll be fun to see, if those guys can do their thing, be even stronger, even better, the farther away they get from
And
from
it's a different money question, but if Jamal Murray makes all NBA, right, he vaults into a different tier
Oh yeah, and I
financially.
guess quickly on that. I mean, I was at Nuggets Media Day, got a sense actually. Since we're plugging interviews that are coming, I talked to Nuggets GM Calvin Booth. That'll be up later in the week, and we hit on the Jamal Murray extension stuff, and he made it clear. I said, "Is this just a matter of him, maximizing his earnings, or is there any part of you concerned about where his head is at, pushing his extension to next summer?" And he says, "No, it's the money, and if Jamal." He basically said, Jamal to me is going to go out and do exactly what he says, which is be all NBA, and that means he's going to be a supermax guy, and they would love to pay him that contract. So, yeah, a lot on the line for both guys.
I smell a Jamal Murray MIP campaign coming up. Feel I feel
Sure,
like I
the
feel like
award that
he's
doesn't exist, but yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I feel like he's the guy. Like you're right, 2 years removed from the ACL. Slater mentioned last pod that a lot of times it's that second year removed from the injury that you really get it back. We saw what he did in the playoffs last year. He's going to have to create a little bit more because of their offseason. They lost Bruce Brown and he's going to have to do some more with the ball offensively, and he can obviously shoulder that. We've seen what he's done on the biggest stages. And if he comes out and he averages 26 a game, and instead of taking 6.5 threes a game, he's taking 10 threes a game and he's hitting 40% of them. And him and Jokic are just, an even greater level of what they already are in the two-man game. Like that's an
Do you
MIP campaign right there.
do you think he would scoff at the idea of most improved though? Do you think he'd be like, "Look, I have the bubble year.
I mean, he
Obviously, I had
might
the injury, so I eased
because
back
he
off that.
is
But look what I did in the playoffs. How improved am I really? I'm just what I've been." Is what
yeah,
he
he's
might
got that
say.
I mean,
edge. I
this
mean,
is
he
this
probably
is
would.
why this is why most improved is a dumb award, because it's the only award that you can make the argument for, not by arguing which guy you think is better this year, but which guy you thought was worse the year before.
Right.
Like if a Jamal Murray MIP vote is going to be contingent on not how good he is this year, but how good we thought he was the year before, it's like whatever. Yeah, sure. I mean, he was incredible in the playoffs, and if he does what he did in the playoffs for a full season, then we can have an argument over how improved that is. I mean, what I would say is that being able to do what he did in the playoffs over a 6-month stretch, being able to sustain that greatness is improvement. Like there are guys who are capable of reaching that level for certain stints, and then there are guys who just do it every single night. I think we would agree that Jamal Murray has the talent and the ability to be able to do it every night. We're just kind of waiting for it, and he had the injury which set him back, and he probably would have gotten there already. So yeah, I mean, look, we've had crazier MIPs than if Jamal Murray averages 26 on great efficiency and wins
It would
MIP.
be a very, very nuanced discussion that would probably piss him off just because he's that kind of athlete and competitor. But I do think, the Nuggets are challenging him to just go out and Michael Malone was really candid on media day, like Michael always is, like essentially saying, like, go be that guy from the beginning of the season. Don't wait until January. And that is where Jamal has paid a price in the past. Last year, I remember talking to him after he found out that he wasn't on the All-Star team, and his feedback or his takeaway was interesting because it was, okay, on the one hand, I understand why I'm not on the All-Star team because I just know I didn't play very well the first couple of months, but then he was very quick to also, and I'm paraphrasing, but he had a line that was like, then I look at the list of who's on the team and I know I'm better than a lot of those guys. That's how he thinks. And the Nuggets would love nothing more than for him to do it from the jump. They have always been frustrated is too strong, but like a little puzzled and at times kind of, disappointed at how he waits, and he waits for, almost for the whole world to start piling up on him because he's not playing all that well. And then eventually the light goes on, and he's Jamal Murray again. So that'll be interesting to see if he can take that jump to another elite level, because what he did in that, entire title run was a huge sample size of incredible basketball.
I will say, I mean, I understand the Nuggets, like, trying to, like, hey, have a huge regular season, but also, like, ain't a bad thing if a guy just raises his game in the playoffs, right? 16
Like
game
a
players.
Jimmy Butler approach.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot better than the other way around, and there's
No
plenty of those
question.
guys in the league that can be awesome in the regular season.
Well, but Slater,
Yeah.
you've lived this through the Warriors. They are now in that stage where they're trying to find new ways to be motivated. You won the title. One of Calvin Booth's press conference comments was similar, where he talked about how and this might have been in our conversation, that no team that, repeats, like does so without having like a dominant stretch of like, 10, 15 wins in a row. Like they want to see, the dominance in the regular season. And it'll be interesting to see them juggle that with the taxing load management and all that stuff. But like they are trying to find something to get fired up about in the regular season and not just wait until April.